what's the deal? Miss your boy Tag from Pro Wrestling Tag, you know what I mean? As of this recording, it is 4:09 p.m., October 19, 2025. This is the third video of the day. And the first real discussion video I'm doing because I'm doing this might be the only discussion video that I do for the day because I got another video that I'm going to put out later today and such. And this is going to really piss the AEW sickos off for sure. Right now I'm watching the Giants against Denver. You know what I mean? The game just started. You know, I hope Jackson Dart, continues this, this good luck. You know what I mean? I doubt the Giants are gonna. I doubt we make the playoffs. I highly doubt it. But you never know. The NFL is real funny at times. You know what I mean? Like our record with 2-4. The Jets lost too. Fuck the Jets. You know what I mean? The Jets fucking suck. You know what I mean? Like they need just destroy this whole fucking team to shreds. You know what I mean? Like I've never been a Jet fan, so I personally don't give a fuck. So let's get into the discussion video. So shout out to this guy who calls himself Just Another Wrestling Channel for this video that I'm about to do because he spoke on ECW and the Nashville Network, right? The Nashville Network, for those that don't know, is basically now Paramount, the Paramount Network, formerly known as Spike TV, right? We're talking about going into 1999. Now, I remember clearly during the 90s, especially the late 90s, like, wrestling was fucking hot, B. Wrestling was super hot. It was hot to a point where this shit was everywhere you went. Shit, nigga, when I went to Boys and Girls, like, back in 98, 99, you know what I mean? Like, after school, you know what I mean? Like, I would go play ball. This is when I was living in Crown Heights. I would go play ball by fucking St. John's Rec. You know what I mean? And there was a lot of motherfuckers who I knew, you know what I mean, who liked wrestling. We do the NWO Too Sweet sign up and, the Too Sweet signal and everything else, right? And, like my cousin, who I no longer talk to his pussy ass, we used to be big hardcore wrestling fans at the time, right? Because he liked the NWO. I liked the NWO too. I mean, so we were watching ECW, WCW, and of course the World Wrestling Federation, right? But I want to focus mostly on ECW because, ECW going into 1999 was kicking on high gear. They got a video game deal with Acclaim. You know what I mean? Their pay-per-views was fucking slamming. You know what I mean? They had a work relationship with the World Wrestling Federation. You know what I mean? And so the one thing that they really needed was a major TV program. And that's when, that's where the Nashville Network came in, right? Now, the Nashville Network at that time, right, it was a bullshit channel. I mean, it was, they gave nothing but country shit, you know what I mean? And that channel was beyond unwatchable. But they did sort of offer some alternatives, for people. Like, if I'm not mistaken, I think they gave arena football. I like arena football. I have no problem with arena football. They gave that. I think the Arena Bowl might have been up there too. Monster Jam. Like, I love Monster Jam. I always wanted to go to Monster Jam, B. That should be on my bucket list because the next time they have Monster Jam at the Barclays, I'm getting fucking tickets. Now, I mean, people used to love, Bigfoot and stuff. Me, I'm a Gravedigger guy. I fucking love Gravedigger. You know what I mean? They gave that. They gave Roller Jam too. Roller Jam wasn't bad. You know what I mean? Roller Jam. See, Monster Jam and Roller Jam was basically their form of sports entertainment. So they figured that, okay, you know what? Let's add professional wrestling into it, which was not a bad move, right? And from the video that I saw from yet another wrestling channel, he mentioned something that I didn't even know, that the NWA was also in discussions in going to TNN, the Nashville Network, right? But everything went to shit on the first day. You know what I mean? Because there was no promotion. TNN did not promote ECW at all in their networks. It was just, they promoted everything else except ECW. You know what I'm saying? And it was just straight shit from the beginning. Straight shit. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, the next year Viacom might have, I don't know. I will have to go back and check. But I'm not going to check now because I'm already doing this video. I'll probably put it probably in the update, under the video. But no promotion at all. There was none, period, whatsoever, right? Then, TNN wanted to censor a lot of shit from ECW. Blood, cursing, and all of that. You know what I'm saying? It was just a fucking disaster. And ECW thrived off of, the blood and the foul language and stuff. Because mind you, this was a late night program now in prime time, right? And, things were already fucked up at that time. Bam. You know what I'm saying? Like things were not where they needed to be, right? So it was already bad from the start. And of course, late payments, TNN really wasn't paying, they weren't really paying, ECW, for their shows. And, it's nothing but poor support, and they also had it leading on to Roller Jam, which is not bad. I mean, it was not a bad move. You know what I mean? Like they wanted to create a block, but it was just the promotion shit. They gave Roller Jam more promotion than ECW, right? And this frustrated the fuck out of Paul Heyman, to the point where he made that infamous shoot. Now, I mean, if I can find that shoot, I'll put it in the description. Where he just went ham on TNN, legit ham, to the point where he was like, "What the fuck you gonna do? You gonna kick me off the network?" You know what I'm saying? It was the fans and such, and ECW shows that advertised, them on TNN. It wasn't TNN themselves. It was ECW who was doing that, right? Another bad move, right? And then, of course, the kicker. TNN basically used ECW to get WWE programming. They basically prostituted ECW, almost like it's a test run. You know what I mean? Like they used them as a test run to the point where they're like, okay, let's see how well pro wrestling does on our network. And if it does, then we'll bid for the World Wrestling Federation. But I think, if I'm not mistaken, Viacom had purchased TNN. Let me take a look real quick. Hold on. Let me see, the Viacom and the National Network, right? When did they buy it? Okay. So it was 1995 No. Okay. So as I'm seeing, in 1995, TNN and CMT Country Music Channel were acquired by Westinghouse, owner of CBS. Okay, so it was during 1995 that they did that shit. It was 1995, right? That they were acquired by CBS and such. So around then, right? So, and of course, in the year 2000, that's when they decided to completely make, they decided to change, the entire format of the channel, right? Actually, hold on. As I'm reading this, it was 1999 that, okay, I'm reading from Wikipedia. So it said in 1995, TNN and CMT Country Music Television were acquired by Westinghouse, which was in turn acquired by Viacom in 1999. On the Viacom, where the fuck is it? I just had this shit too. I just had it because I want to read this part because this is important for the video. On the Viacom ownership, TNN would phase out country influence programming in favor of genuine entertainment format. Of a general entertainment format appealing to Middle America, and so on and so forth. So everything was perfect timing, right? So basically, in the year 2000, that's when you started seeing a shift. Once they got, they didn't even renew ECW. They told ECW to fuck off, right? this is in this is October 1999. No, 2000. I think it was 2000. I think it was 2000. It was October 2000. It was October 2000. They basically told ECW to fuck off, and they promoted the shit out of the World Wrestling Federation. Because that game you couldn't play with. The WWF, you could not play with that shit. You know what I mean? But TNN, even their execs even admitted that they used ECW to, as a test to get, to get the World Wrestling Federation. They wanted to see how World Pro Wrestling does, on their network, and it did well. But it was just a bad partnership from the start. It was just a bad relationship from the start. It was toxic. It was beyond toxic, right? Now that's the TNN part, right? I mean, and again they changed their name to the national. The National Network. I remember that shit clearly. The network for men and such. They started having shows. I think I don't think Slam Ball was there yet. Slam Ball was good. I actually liked Slam Ball. They had they definitely had programming cars and all this other shit. They wanted to make it the men's network, right? It's not bad for its time, right? Now, it's fucked up what TNN did. But Paul Heyman he's not a guilty party. He's not an innocent party in this either. Because where he fucked up in two parts. He fucked up by keeping the programming the same. Basically meaning that he didn't go to a studio and such and start programming his shows there. He didn't go to a Universal Studios and such to program his stuff. It wasn't like Wild Women of Wrestling back 20 years ago where they did all their stuff in, I think, the arena before the Staples Center. I think it was the what the fuck was that stadium called in LA? I think the Los Angeles Sports Arena. I'm not sure. Or I think it was the Great Western Forum. I think. Now I gotta check. Now I gotta fucking check. Now I legit gotta check because now I want to see, where did they play at and such. They didn't play in the same. They did not play in the same arena. They played in another arena. I'm trying to see where it was. You know what? Let me pause this. I stand corrected. So it was the Great Western Forum. This was, like I said, in the year 2000, right? And this was a syndicated network. This was a syndicated. Wrestling program. You know what I mean? And they was able to, and ECW was bigger. You know what I mean? Than WoW, but WoW was able to get an arena, and that's where ECW fucked up at. That's what Paul Heyman completely fucked up at. He said, "Fuck it, let me just stay the same, and give them what we're about." And it was just a disaster from the start. That's where he fucked up at. He really fucked up. And another thing where he fucked up at too was not expanding to a wider audience, because now you are on TNN, so you're not just local at this point. ECW was only doing shows in the East Coast, in Pennsylvania and Queens, New York, and such, and that was not going to fly if you were doing stuff on a national basis. It wasn't. It was not. You know what I mean? This is where he fucked up because he boxed himself in. You know what I mean? You need to expand. You know what I mean? If he would have done, look, the relationship was bad from the start, like I said earlier. So I don't think anything would have, nothing would have been done to salvage this relationship. It was just bad. But it was a lesson learned because, when it comes down to network television and business, you got to adapt. And even, I think Vince told Paul, you got to, Vince McMahon, fuck him. I think he told Paul Heyman, you got to adapt. You have to adapt. You have to, get into a wider audience. Oh, no, we'll give him the same. We'll give him the extreme. And that's where he fucked up. And I fuck with Paul Heyman. I like Paul Heyman a lot. Now, he's definitely one of my idols when it comes down to his pro wrestling game, man. But anyway, guys, I'm about to be out. I will come with another video tonight. Now, y'all not going to miss what I got to say because the sickos are going to get pissed off with this. I'm going to holler at y'all. Peace.